Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Available to use online, at ATMs or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.
Hi there, welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and today the panel consists of David Jennings and Paul Keeley from the Racing Post, and from Paddy Power, the super shrewd Frank Hickey. We have spent all morning slicing and dicing and ripping up the original running order, thanks to the good people at Ayr. What a shambles that was, but we've got a great show for you. We've got 4 live races at Newbury. We think we've got 4 live races on ITV, 3 live races on ITV at Newmarket, but that's yet to be confirmed. But we will preview them anyway, and if you back the winner, you still get paid out. We've got the competition, where we'll tell you who's won the free bet, and then we'll look ahead to some good racing at Nace on Sunday, where I'm sure David and Frank particularly are bursting with winners. We've also got on Sunday a couple of lovely jumps meetings at Plumpton and New Toxteth, which is the sort of thing that turns me on greatly and hopefully kills a sussed one for that. Righto, before we get going, lads, we should have been looking at the Ayr Gold Cup. I'm sure you've been studying, pricing it up, betting on it all weekend, but it's been a bit of a shambles, Kills, hasn't it? What's going on here? I mean, sometimes you have sympathy for race courses because obviously it's a great big expanse of grass and the British weather is such that it can play tricks on you. But this is pathetic, isn't it?
It's a bit of a shocker. My initial thought was, they were giving the wrong going all week because their going stick reading was considerably lower than it had been for the last time that the meeting was abandoned. The first day of the meeting was abandoned in 2012, and it suggested heavy ground before the rain came. But then trainers were saying yesterday morning there was a drainage issue somewhere. And they never mentioned it at all. They just said, we're really confident. Now, at 7 o'clock last night when they've abandoned, I reckon they must have absolutely known they wouldn't be racing on Saturday either. And, if they'd have been more proactive, wouldn't they have been able to rearrange it, something, earlier? The whole meeting could have been called off yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might have been there might be an insurance issue. I don't know. But, I mean, this is what rankles. Listen, racing can't be, organised around what's good for the Racing Post. But, I mean, to chuck on us at 7 p.m. on a Thursday night that Friday's meeting's going to be off, when there wasn't even an inspection planned, and when the course spokesman has been going on all day about how confident they are, I mean, it was an absolute... It was a catastrophe. But more than that, you've got horses travelling up all over from the south of England and schlepping all the way up there, only to be told it's not running. It's just not good enough. It really isn't. Never mind. On to brighter matters. Which race should we do? Newbury in chronological order. Blimey, Newbury looks tough, lads, doesn't it? Have you had a look?
Yeah, I mean, you think Ayr was hard and it's going to be easier because all them big fields are off. But, I mean, it is really, really tough, both Newbury and Newmarket.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hopefully, lads, you've had a good old study up. We'll start with them with the 2:15 at Newbury. It's the Dubai Duty Free Legacy Cup Stakes, Group 3, and there's a lot of old favourites in there. Frank, give us a nice big show of Paddy Power prices.
Yeah, we've joint favourites. Desert Encounter and Second Step are both 7-2. Secret Number, Fabricate, Scarlet Dragon 7-1. Across the Stars 8-1. Dilmouth 10-1, and we're 14-1 bar.
Okay, DJ, let's start with you. What's your view on this race?
I think Second Step is very solid, Bruce. I think this season has been a real kind of productive one for him. He's ran in all them type of listed Group 3 races, and I suppose they're on a good one behind Poet's Word. Looks particularly good now. I know Scarlet Dragon wasn't far behind that day, but like Poet's Word was like very unlucky, I suppose you could say, but it ran a cracker in the Irish Champion Stakes. And I just think when you go through Second Step's form, it seems to be any ground, any trip in or around 1.5 miles, and any track. Like, he's very, very versatile. I think Jamie Spencer's riding quite well at the minute, and yeah, like, you can make cases to so many of these. I'm sure we've all backed numerous times before. You can make cases for plenty of them. But I think Second Step is the most solid. He's going to give his run, and he's very consistent. And I'd be shocked if he wasn't fighting out to finish. Like, he's 4-1. He's probably a decent enough price each way.
David, when you say that Jamie Spencer's riding well at the minute, do jockeys ride well and badly? I mean, don't they just sit on there and do their thing?
I'm a big believer in confidence. Big believer. Like, I seen him on Equimoo during the week, and So Sleek. Like, So Sleek won at Yarmouth during the week, and it was an un-Jamie Spencer ride. Like, if I say to you what's Jamie Spencer like, you say he's a hold-up jockey, he gets cover, he arrives late, but on So Sleek he was brilliant. I don't think many others would have won on So Sleek. I think he's riding at the top of his game at the minute.
Kells, can you have jockey form?
Yeah, I can. It's definitely a confidence issue, isn't it? I mean, I think when jockeys are going for a bad run, they tend to, you tend to go out not in the right frame of mind, don't you? I mean, we're all like that a little bit, aren't we? I mean, well, I have been lately anyway, tipping-wise.
Who's going to win this then, Kills? Are you confident? Are you in form?
I can't say I was confident. I was confident last week and everything just ran terrible, so now I'm not in form. But we shall see. I mean, I can see where Dave's coming from with second step, but I think, Scarlet Dragon's twice the price. Was only a neck behind him when Poet's Word when they were second and third to Poet's Word. He's since been second to Chemical Charge. He's rated 114. Only got beaten ahead that day, and he's an improver. And he was improving last autumn as well. He's raced 3 times at Newbury. He's won 2. He was only just beaten in a big handicap on this day last year. And he just keeps on bringing out a little bit more. I think the 1 mile 3 furlong might suit him down to the ground, and I think it's a fair each way bet.
Who'd you like, Frank?
I'm with Paul here. I thought Scarlet Dragon represents a bit of value. He's as big as 8s out there, for the same reasons. Like the run of Kempton, he was only nabbed late. He ran really well. He didn't stay in the Ebor, I don't think, and he's only a neck to find with a second step. On their Goodwood run behind Poet's Word. I think 8-1's a cracking each, I bet. And the other thing about it is he's run 3 times at Newbury, and he's been touched off in second once and won the other twice, so he clearly likes the track.
Okay, Kills, by the way, have you looked at the weather? What are we expecting at Newbury going-wise?
I don't think it's going to get any softer, no. I mean, I think basically down south it's going to be reasonably dry, isn't it?
So just about perfect, should we say? 250 then, the Dubai Duty-Free Mill Reef Stakes, traditionally one of the big 2-year-old races of the year. Of course, Harry Angel won it recently. What's the latest betting here? Another wide open contest, Frank.
Yeah, Invincible Armies 5-2, Engines at 7-2, James Garfield 4-1, Nebo 6-1, Lansky 7-1, number 12's Bar.
I wonder if any of you will agree with me that the Admiral James Garfield cannot be out the 3 here. Frank Hickey, you go first.
That's exactly what I was going to say. James Garfield obviously has been one on my radar all year since that debut at Leicester when he was missed the break brutally bad and finished third. He was slightly unfortunate in the Windsor Castle as well. And even the last day in the Combe Stakes, he travelled like the best horse in the race. Just, I think he got outstayed by one.
Still can't believe he didn't win, can you?
It's just something. I watched it back only this morning, and you're convinced he's hung on, but he hasn't. But like the drop to 6, I think it won't inconvenience him. Even if you look at the Goodwood run, he's behind Expert Eye. Mildenberger's won a listed race. Like Sea Henge was behind him. Like that race could be really hot. And like he's 4-1 with us. I just think you can back him each way.
Do you think sometimes with these 2-year-olds, Frank, that when they've got a few runs under the belt and a full rack of form figures, which he almost says, that they almost become a little bit less fashionable, and that people are always expecting an improved?
Well, that's it. Like I know there's no real one here, bar maybe the Dascombe one with that kind of profile. But you get these horses that win a maiden, and they go off a stupid price, like a short price, based on winning that, because they're full of potential and no one knows what they are. While you look at James Garfield and you go, oh look, he's been beaten in a Group 2 and a Group 3 the last twice, and he's only so like. But I think he's very solid. I don't think there's that much between him and Invincible Army. Invincible Army's 5-2 and he's 4-1. I think that's enough for me to fall down the side of James Garfield. Nebo would be interesting if the ground got a bit softer, but I think he really wants a bit of dig to be at his best. And other than that, yeah. I think James Garfield's got a great chance.
What do you reckon, DJ?
I am convinced that Lansky will reverse that form with James Garfield. Now, he has obviously almost 4 lengths to make up, but I watched that race back this morning, and Lansky, like Jared Mossay rode him, and I was watching the race, and you're kind of going, this is not going to plan at all. Bit slowly away. Green just looked to be still learning, finding his feet. He looked like as we say in Ireland, a big awkward hooer. And I thought he did remarkably well to finish as close as he did. And your initial reaction afterwards is that he needs to step up to a mile, because visually it looked that way because he was out of his ground early. And even in the analysis in the Racing Post, it says, he's going to be seen to better effect over a mile. I'm not so sure. I thought he made up his ground from maybe the 4 pole to the 2 pole at York that day. And again, straight after the race, I said, I cannot wait to back Lansky next time. And I was hoping that he would go for this race. And even the maiden that he ran in at Windsor, Jupiter, who was second that day, came out and ran well since in a good maiden at Linkfield behind Society Power. And Ujalala, who was third, has won a handicap since as well. It probably was a decent maiden for Windsor, I thought, and he did well to win it that day. I think he's a good horse, and I think he'll reverse that form with James Garfield. He's 7-1, and I think each way, again, in a race where you can make cases for plenty of them. I thought 7-1 was very fair.
Kills?
Yeah, look, I think this is wide open, but I don't see what's wrong with Engerzat, to be honest. Absolutely thrashed a horse called Tip to Win last time, 2 lengths. Assessor's put him up to 103, which gives him £6 to fine with Invincible Army on official figures. But Tip to Win came out and won at Doncaster last week and has gone up to 107, and Engerzat really thrashed it. So I think if he's going forwards, and it's 6 furlong form as well. The ones we've mentioned, the 7 furlong, they got to prove themselves dropping back in trip. So I'll go with Engerzat.
325, the Dubai duty-free handicap. 20 runners are absolutely wide open and very, very tricky indeed. Frank, take us through the latest betting.
Yeah, Fidawi is 6-1, Banksy 8-1, Eddystone Rock, Silver Ghost, Alneshk, Baracco 10-1, Eric the Red, Baydar 12-1, Eugenio Anything Today, Shaba and Theodora 14-1, and we're 16-1 bar.
Kills lead on.
I put up Barocco earlier in the week, largely because he keeps running good races, and I'm convinced that he's well handicapped, although he is a little bit of a nutter.
We still haven't forgiven him for Epsom, have we?
Well, no, exactly.
It wasn't really him, it was more the jockey.
Well, yeah, that Epsom. But you say it was him, but he hasn't won since. So it might be a bit him as well, you know what I mean? He flops out the stalls routinely, but if they get a strong gallop...
I've never seen a horse that's capable of running through another horse, which is what he would have had to have done to win
exactly.
Epsom.
Yeah, that is true. But, like I said, he's obviously been beaten several times since as well. But, I think he'll run well at a price. But I've become more and more interested in another one now, trained by James Tate, called Law and Order. Now, he's run 2 cracking races on his last 2 starts. He was second at Second Step. I think Second Step was carrying a little penalty, but, the horse was rated 110. Law and Order was 100 then, beaten 2.5 lengths. And then last time out, he was only beaten 2 3/4 lengths in that race won by Chemical Charge, where Law and Order was, Scarlet Dragon was second. They're 2 big runs. He's gone up to a mark of 104, but this was an early closer, so he's running off 100. So there's a horse that's £4 well in, drawn in stall 4, so has a reasonable draw on the inside, and yet is available at 20-1 in places.
Okay, Law and Order at a decent price for Kills. Frank, what are you going to go for?
Yeah, I'd narrowed it down to 2. The first, actually, strange enough, the Sir Michael Stout second string, Shaba. He was decent enough last year. He won a handicap at Sandown off 79 and was just touched off in a handicap at Ascot off 87. He made a nice reappearance at Yarmouth about maybe just under a month ago, where he actually cruised through the race to about the furlong pole and blew up. Was beaten 6 lengths by Theodora, who reopposes here. He went to Sandown a couple of days later. It was probably too soon for him. He's beaten 5 lengths behind Thundering Blue, who's favourite for the Cambridgeshire. They claimed 3 off him here, and he's actually off the same mark when you factor in the claim as when he was touched off at Ascot. I'd say this horse is potential to be a 100 horse, I think. You can forgive that Sand run, it was definitely too quick, and he's a massive price. He's 20-1. We're 5 places in the race. I think he's got a huge each way chance. And Baracco is the other one I liked. I watched the video of York again this morning, and every bit of trouble going, he found it, and he's still only beaten 2.5 lengths.
That is him, isn't it?
Oh, it is him, but I mean, he is definitely well handicapped. He should be involved. I think for 5 places as well, each way, I think we're 10 or 12. That's very tens, yeah. That's a fair each way price. But Shaba would be my number 1, and Baracco maybe a small save each way as well.
David Jennings.
I thought Banksy was rock solid. I'm surprised it hasn't got a mention yet. It won the Spring Cup on its last run at Newbury. That was back in April. It was his first run of the season. He'd been gelded from 3 to 4. And I think the step up and trip is going to suit. And there's definitely valid excuses for his last 2 runs, because it wasn't well drawn on either occasion. The ground was too soft at Ascot last time and was returning from I think a 3-month break. And he's won over a mile 2 before. I remember him winning the race at Pontefract last year, and was quite impressive that day and looked like he'd certainly stay. Luca Kamani has a really good record in this race. I think he's won it maybe 3 times in maybe 8 or 9 years. So he tends to target one at this race. And I think Banksy, like a Spencer back on board. I know I fancied Spencer earlier on Second Step, but I think Spencer does get the best out of Banksy, because Banksy is a typical Jamie Spencer type of horse, and he hasn't ridden it since he won the Spring Cup. So I think Banksy is very, very solid.
Right, let's do the concluding race at Newbury. It's the 4 o'clock. It's the Dubai International Airport World Trophy Stakes. It's a Group 3, but it's kind of like a handicap, really. There's 17 runners, it's wide open, and it's very, very tricky. Really fascinating race, this. And Frank, how do Paddy Power bet?
Yeah, Kotai Glory is 9-2, Muthmere 5-1, Take Cover and Wadi 6-1, Price is 7-1, Caspian Prince 8-1, Gold Dream 12-1, number 16 Bar, and we're 4 places in this race as well.
Good, we'll need 4 at least. DJ, where'd you start with this one? There's so many with chances, isn't there?
Bruce, you know how much I love talking, and I can't make head nor tail of this. I absolutely hate sprints. I obviously love the really good ones, and love watching like the top sprinters, Marcia and Lady Aurelia and Caravaggio and all that. But I know these are household names, and you know a lot of people have affection for a lot of them. But like realistically speaking, like from a punting point of view, 10 of these could win. So look, go on to Paul.
Okay, I think you're slightly
I was just
pushing
about
it.
to go down the road and have a pint as well.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah. When he said, you
get
know how
my
much I like
reputation
talking, but I think you might be. Much as I love Kotai Glory, calling him a household name, I'm not sure my mum's heard of him. But anyway, I take your point. Paul, have you got a strong view here?
Well, the only thing I say is that there's got to be a massive pace burn up here, isn't it? We've got Take Cover, we've got Caspian Prince, we've got and we've got Thesme. Thesme is lightning fast over 4 furlongs, and she's 33-1. Wouldn't surprise me if she ran much better than those odds suggest. But you know, given the amount of paces in here, you've got to think that something's going to come from behind. I'm quite interested in the Irish horse. I don't know anything about trainer DJ Bunyan, but Hit the Bid is an improving horse at the right time. Yeah. What's his name?
Darren.
Darren.
Darren Bunyan.
Darren. Oh, it's an English name, isn't it?
Darren, like Darren Day.
Yeah.
Darren Bunyan.
Yeah. Right. Well, anyway, I don't.
Tell us something about Darren Bunyan, DJ.
I could tell you something, but well, I'm not sure if I can say this.
Okay,
but,
Keels, carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a horse that's been improving. He won a listed race at Cork in June. He was second in a big handicap of 9 stone 8 at the Cairo afterwards. He's a hold-up horse. He was 4 to Caspian Prince when last seen in July, which is obviously gives him a fair amount of fine. But that's a 6-runner race. I think getting a bit of cover in a massive field, you know, and given how competitive the race is, I want to back something at a decent price, and he's about 16-1, I think.
Okay, while Frank gives us his view, DJ, text me your thing about Darren Bunyan and I'll decide.
No, it's nothing bad at all. I actually can tell you. And do you know Miriam Doran that works with us here? She used to be engaged to him.
All right,
so,
that's fair enough, yeah.
But he's actually happily married since. He's a really, really nice guy. He's one of these guys, when you ring him up on the phone to talk to him, you could, and you know I love talking, you could actually talk to him all day. He's really nice guy. And Hit the Bid, he loved Hit the Bid from day one. I think they brought off a gamble with this horse. I think on its debut it ran on its debut at Leopardstown. It was beaten actually by Lundy, but it went off 4-1. I think it was 40-1 in the morning. So I think it was back from 40s down to 4-1, and it was beaten. But it's obviously turned out to be a pretty good horse.
Righty ho, Frank, who'd you like in the 4 o'clock?
Yeah, I'd agree with Paul on the fact that there should be plenty of pace on here. Thesme's drawn 9, Take Cover's drawn 10, Caspian Prince and 13. They all like to go hell for leather from the front. So I thought anything drawn in around it might get a bit of a toe into the race. And one, I know I'm going for a bit of an oldie here, but Gold Dream, whenever he gets fast ground, at the moment the ground is good to firm in places but no rain forecast, he's always run really well, to be fair to him. Like you only have to go back to the May when he was beaten a length and a quarter behind Marsha in the Palace House Stakes, and he was beaten half lane by Priceless in the Temple Stakes. Now he's been a bit disappointing since, but he was third in the Coral Charge, I think, at Sandown behind Batash. And now the last couple of runs have been poor, but he's getting hopefully proper fast ground again, and with all the pace around him, I think they might tow him into the race, and he could be the one finishing off. Like, he's 16-1 in places. I think it's even as big as 18. That's a cracking each way price.
Yeah, I did look at him, Frank. I just wondered, you know, Robert Cowell's got Encore d'Or in there as well, and I know Viamore rode him then, but I mean, when Encore d'Or won last time, but I just thought, you know, if they really fancy Gold Dream, and Viamore's available, wouldn't they switch him?
Possibly, yeah. It was just more the pace was all around him. Yeah. Encore d'Or's drawn 4, and I know Kotai Glory can go from the front, but it was just the way the race might set up. It might play to his strengths. Like, look, he could be gone, but it's like it is only 3 or 4 months since he was running Cracker, so. Yeah, it's just at the price. At 16-1,
sure.
You can't go wrong at that kind of price, I think.
And also, Kills, with those things, you just don't know how close these things are. I mean, they can be 50-50, can't they? Can be virtually a spin of a coin,
you know. Of course they can, yeah. I've never had a problem with backing a second string anyway.
OK, that was Newbury. Let's do Newmarket.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite in 2 races today and every day this month. Max £25 per race. T&Cs apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
No prices as yet from Paddy Power from the Newmarket races, but they will be available, so we'll just get some tips. And we'll do the 2 o'clock, the International Studbook Committee handicap over 1 mile and 2. It's good to soft at the moment at Newmarket. Keels, kick on. Who do you think is going to win this one, mate?
Yeah, I like First Nation a fair bit here. He's been running over 1.5 miles last 3 starts. I just don't think he's been seeing it out, but I think he's been improving at the same time. He went off just 11-2 to win that 100-gram race at Ascot last time. Only got beat 3 lengths, but again, it was just like the last furlong he's paddling, and he's done that 3 times. I thought he was a really good second earlier in the season at Sandown over 1 mile and 2. I think he's better than he was then, and dropping in trip and class, by the way, as well. He's dropping in class as well. I think he's definitely the one to beat.
Who do you reckon, Frank?
To be honest, I couldn't find a tip in this race, so I'm not going to give one if I would be backing myself.
Okie-doke, David?
Oh, First Nation for me. I completely agree with everything Paul said there. Like that second to Atty Perth earlier on in the season, that looks really good now. It's only £2 higher now than it was then back at Ascot in June. Like so, and I don't think it's been running particularly poorly. There's been excuses both times, and very, very interesting. I certainly think very interesting back in trip, because last time it looked like it just wasn't quite getting home. It'll travel really well over 1 mile 2. So First Nation for me, 2 votes for First Nation.
Jolly good. The 2:35, the EBFstallions.com Bentley Cambridge Fillies handicap, 10 runners, 1.5 miles. Frank, have you got one here?
I'm trying to find the race. I've the later races done. I did the Cesarewitch trial and the sprint, and
the times round, haven't they?
They have switched. Is that the one with Star Rock? No.
No. It's a Phillies race.
I'll tell you what. You go
it's
first,
the Phillies
DJ.
handicap over 1.5 miles. No.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one. Star Rock.
Okay.
Oh, he is
Huey Morrison,
she's
down the bottom. Now she hasn't been seen since May, but when she was last seen, she won a maiden here over 1.5 miles, where she beat God Given. Now God Given won a listed race here and won a Group 3 in France, and she's up over 100 now. I think 104 or something. So Star Rock is running in a handicap off 80. Look, she's been off since May. If she's ready to go, she'll absolutely bolt up here.
Lovely jubbly. Star Rock for Frank. Who for you, DJ?
Oh, I think this Cribs Causeway wins again, Bruce. I said earlier on in the year I fancied her reasonably strongly to win a really good 1 mile 6 handicap at Haydock back in July. She was beaten that day. She was a bit disappointing, but it was just a little bit early in her education. She's since won really, really nicely at Salisbury. It was a good race. She wasn't even favourite. She's gone up another £7. You have to remember, she was rated 62 when she won at Kempton in June, and she's up to 88 now. So by my maths, that's £26. But I don't think her improvements have stopped. I really don't. I think she's a filly going places. She's tough and she's genuine. I think she's got a cracking chance.
Can you remember what she's named after, DJ?
Cribs Causeway?
Yeah.
I can't. Should I know?
I think we did this one last time. It's a retail shopping outlet on the outskirts of Bristol. Don't you know?
Well, sure. How would I know that?
I don't know. You might have gone shopping in Bristol. I don't know. Keels, who do you like?
Yeah, this is one of the races I haven't had a proper look at because they moved the times around and it's still 5 o'clock on my list.
All right.
But I wouldn't argue with Frank with Star Rock, to be honest, because I do like God Given. I've backed that a couple of times, but I can't say I've had a proper look.
Okay, well, hopefully you've had a good look at the 3:10 because that's a real devilishly difficult race, as you'd expect from the title. It's the Betfred Cesarewitch trial, obviously a rehearsal for the massive autumn handicap coming up next month. 2 mile 2 furlongs, 21 runners, no betting yet, but hopefully some winners. Paul Keeley, you can go first.
Yeah, I'm in 2 minds with this. This Coeur d'Alene of Alan King's is rated 79 and hasn't run for 4 months. Now, if he doesn't win, he may not get into the Cez, and I thought he had Cez written all over him, to be honest, because he was a really decent juvenile hurdler who was 7th in the Triumph to Defi de Sol, was 2nd to Defi de Sol earlier in the season as well, and he came out at Nottingham and he absolutely bolted up by 3 lengths in a 2 mile race on soft ground. Will get further, but I'm just wondering why the layoff. I mean, is it taking a massive gamble? But if ready, he's rated 79. It's 144 over hurdles, so he's got an absolute vast amount in hand if he's fit and ready to go, and I'd imagine he has to be if they want to run in the Says. Now, Time to Suddy's was one of my favourite horses earlier in the season, and I backed him a couple of times recently. I just wondered when I looked at him at Doncaster last time whether he waits in front a little bit. He might like the extra trip, but Coeur de Lion has got to be the best handicapped horse in the race.
I thought you were an Alan King. I thought you were a friend of his. Can't you text him?
No, I'm not a friend of Alan King. I got pissed in his company once at the Dunraven Arms at the previous chair, and he dragged me under the table. Couldn't believe it. I had to go to bed, and apparently he was still going at 5:30.
Blimey, right? That makes him an absolute king of the drinkers if he's had you under the table.
I mean, compared to me, he was actually talking sense as well. So,
okay.
Well,
you didn't get his phone number.
But no.
Righty-ho. DJ, who do you think is going to win this one?
Oh, Bruce, this is all about Coeur de Lion. I'll tell you why, and I think so. Like, I think I'm talking for Alan King here. The reason that it hasn't ran since May is because it ran 11 times from June to May this year. And I'd say he just couldn't take the chance of keeping him on the go. I think he had to have a break because he went straight from running on the flat to running in Weatherby over hurdles, and it beat Fort Bridge on its debut in a maiden hurdle over jumps. And then, like, it ran against Defi de Sol, beat Rather, like, it's hurdle form when you go through it. There's so much substance to it. He was second at Defi de Sol, then it beat Ratherby. Ratherby went on and won a big handicap at Aintree. Everywhere you look, like second to London Prize in a Nottingham handicap last October, that's working out really well. London Prize is rated much higher now as well. And if you even go back into the Triumph Hurdle at Cheltenham, you know, coming down to the last, Coeur de Lion was bang there, made a mess of the last, was beaten 11 lengths. You could take about 4 lengths off that for the mistake of the last. It's a cracking run. It's up to 144 now. It won as you liked at Nottingham, as Paul said there. That was soft ground that day. It handled soft ground. I think they couldn't take the chance. I think they needed to give this horse a break. And going through last year's Cesarewitch, 80 got in. So last year in the Cesarewitch, Always Resolute and Teak were both rated 80. Coeur de Lion is rated 79, so has a chance of getting in already. So I think if it finishes in the first 3 here, it'll get in, but I think it'll win.
Alan, if you're listening to this while driving, I hope you didn't crash the car in horror at the prospect of David Jennings speaking on your behalf. But we've got 2 very strong votes for Coeur de Lion. Have we got a third from you, Frank, or do you fancy something else?
No, like, this is just a good thing. I know you could say it's a 21-runner handicap, be very competitive, but I was looking through it this morning. Like, it's as flat run before that Nottingham race was, as Paul said already, second to London Prize. London Prize is £20 higher now and has won the Imperial Cup over hurdles. So that was a cracking effort. His hurdles form is very, very solid. Beat Rotherby. Rotherby won a competitive handicap at the Aintree Fest off 136. He's finished 7th in the Triumph Hurdle. He's up to 144. Absolutely hacked up at Nottingham. Probably was given a break. This has probably been the aim to come back, win this, and get into Cesarewitch. Like, I know you could run the risk of coming second or third and maybe getting a couple of pounds. Like, I think he needs to win because the way it's out to get a penalty, to be sure. He get a £4 penalty, bring him up to 83. That'll get him a run.
What price will he be, Frank?
Well, I'm priced up, Paul, or David, so I won't think he'd be getting a very big price. I would be thinking, off the top of my head,
though, will he?
7-2.
Really? That short?
4. He's absolutely thrown in. Like, honestly, like, if he's fit, he wins, and he'll win well.
OK, fair enough. So everyone likes Coeur de Lion. I was getting very excited there. I thought all 3 of these judges all fancy one in a 21-run handicap. But look, we don't mind a 7-2 winner, regardless of how many runners. Excellent. Right, OK, this is the bit where I ask the experts who they fancy on Saturday, but not to reveal their nap. So, Paul Keeley, you go first.
Yeah, there was only one more really at Newmarket, but I've got to try and find the race now because I was in the wrong bloody order.
OK, do you want DJ to go first? Let that should give you ample time. You could probably walk to Newmarket, ask them which race it is, and then give us your answer. Go on, DJ.
Okay, I'm a bit intimidated now because I don't know whether to talk or just shut up. But anyway, in the 2:55 at Navan, my local track, one of my many guilty pleasures is running
But hang on a sec. Sorry, by the way, I've got to apologise for the Laganore thing last week. You would, I know. Couldn't believe it. You were doing you tried so hard to find a horse that wasn't Laganore, didn't you? You found one, and then Laganore pisses up. I couldn't believe it. I felt bad about that.
Sickening it was.
I apologise.
Tony Martin, just for people listening in, Tony Martin's horses have completely turned the corner, completely, and they are bombing at the minute. 3 of his last 6 have won. He's had a terrible year, but just if you do kind of half fancy a Tony Martin horse at the moment, back it, because they're absolutely bombing at the moment, just to let you know. But anyway, in the 255 at Navan, this Moulin Avant, right, it's going to be a pretty short price, but this is a proper horse. Like, they think the absolute world of Moulin Avant. Apparently, he's going to be running the beginner's chase after this, and he jumps brilliantly. So if you're looking for a novice chaser to follow for the season, Moulin Avant, he's rated 137 over hurdles. I'm just praying. Jamie Summers is in the race and was unlucky. Fell at the second last at Galway 5 days ago. Jamie Summers, and Jamie Summers is only rated 4 pound inferior to Moulin Avant. There's a world of difference between these two horses. This Moulin Avant is touching on, like, he's a proper Grade 2 horse, I think. I think he's going to prove it. Noel Mead horses are running really well. Nina won the bumper the other night. If there's any type of odds against Moulin Avant in the 255 at Navan, you've got to back it.
Okay, any others?
No, that's it.
Okay, what was your one at Newmarket, Kills?
Yeah, finally found it. 240 Newmarket. Horse
there isn't a 240 at Newmarket.
Well, that's what it says on my watch it. I can't work it out. I've just clicked on the race and it says 240.
Oh,
on my thingy. So I mean, it's just
your thingy impossible. Being what?
On the Racing Post website.
Oh Christ! Don't expose that as being all over the place.
Right, let me try.
What's the name of the horse?
In order. The horse is called Bernardo O'Reilly. And yeah, it still says 240, but it's coming after the bloody 235. So no idea.
It's the 420, Kills.
It's the 420 now, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
I'm
sure
sure you haven't just got.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Hangover.
It's all over the place.
Okay, right. So it's the 420 Newmarket.
Anyway,
why will Bernardo O'Reilly
a horse of
win?
Richard Spencer's, Bernardo O'Reilly, absolutely bolted up first time in the maiden at Lingfield on good to soft ground. Then flopped out of the stalls in a 5-runner race on soft ground at Salisbury next time, and just couldn't get involved off a slow gallop. Don't think he liked fast ground last time at Newmarket, and I just think he'll be a completely different horse in a big field off a solid pace to chase, and he'll be a double figure price too.
Frank Hickey, how many horses feature in your roundup?
Just a few.
Go on
not too many. 455 at Newmarket. This one will be a price too. I don't think I'm pricing it, hopefully. But a horse called Poet's Princess of Hughie Morrison's. It has some decent form. If you go back to Newmarket in May, it was second, beaten ahead by Ectiar. Ectiar is now rated about 12 pounds higher. Won a really good handicap at Newmarket afterwards. But third that day was Quench Dolly, who was a good winner at Goodwood since, and Holmeswood was fourth, who was a good winner of big 3-year-old sprint at York. Now, Poet's Princess is actually £4 lower here, but she's also dropped in class. She's been running in grade 2 handicaps up to now, and she's dropped back to grade 4. I think if she's she raised handy enough, Josephine Gordon's on, she's riding brilliantly at the moment. This could be 14, 16 to 1. It's a massive each way price. I'll be having a right cut off it.
Don't speak to your colleague who's pricing it up, okay?
And then I won't say anything. Then Wolverhampton 610. This one's been on my radar for a little bit. Miracle Garden. It's had about 6 runs, I think, for Ian Williams, but it ran over 7 the last day. Showed a lot. Was beaten 3 3/4 lengths by Siege Boston at Kempton, but Wolverhampton's its track. It's dropped back to 6, which is a good thing for it, and it's got the blinkers on for the first time. I'd say they'll go for this, and I'd say that'll take a bit of beating.
Just the 2?
Just the 2, yeah.
Okay, nap time.
This will not be beaten.
David Jennings, you go first.
I actually feel bad because I forgot that you said that to give tips for horses that is not your nap. I forgot that bit. But I just really need to get a winner in the nap. And I will be... Now, I mean, this horse is a certainty. I will be devastated if Moulin Avant doesn't win the 255. It's just a completely different class to these. Please, God, say a little prayer that it's going to be odds against, because I will genuinely be absolutely devastated if Moulin Avant doesn't win the 255 at Navan.
Even if there was a God, David Jennings, do you not think he's got enough on his plate right now without ensuring that a horse running at Navan goes off for odds against?
Yeah, but, like, if he gets a couple of minutes spare, like, you know.
Kills?
Yeah, 325 Doobie, just in terms of value, a horse shouldn't be around 20 to 1 when it's officially well in. Law and Order, 325.
Lovely stuff. And Frank, who are you going to go for?
Yeah, this doesn't augur well, because I'm going to go to 325 as well and put up one at the price. Shaba, 20 to 1. Yeah, each way. I think it's a cracking each way bet.
Exacta.
We can have some casts, some exactas. Excellent. Okay, before
What's yours, Bruce?
No, I don't have one actually. Oh no, yes I do. Of course, James Garfield. Yeah. In the no, you don't care. Yes, in the what is it? The Mill Reef. James Garfield. Right. Okay. Before the break, we will announce the competition winner on Monday. We asked who won the St Ledger. The answer was Capri, and Steph James from Paisley tweeted the answer with the word Postcast. So well done, Steph. You win a free £25 bet from Paddy Power, and there's another chance to win a free bet in Monday's show.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in 2 races today and every day this month. Max £25 per race. T&Cs apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, it's the Racing Post Weekend Postcast with Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley, David Jennings and Paddy Powers. Frank Hickey. We're looking ahead to a decent card at Naas on Sunday where there's some Group 2s and there's a Group 2 and some Group 3s. We'll start with the Group 2. It's the Juddmonte Beresford Stakes. Won last year by the aforementioned Capri. See the Stars, St Nicholas Abbey and Alam Shah have all won in the past, and Aidan O'Brien is finally getting the hang of it. He's won this race 16 times, including the last 6. An incredible record. Will he win it a 17th time? David Jennings.
Oh, he will, yeah, he will. But, like, if there is a God up there, and you sound very doubtful, but if there is... if this warm device wins this, now we won't win, right? But I was down to interview Brendan Duke. It's in the paper on Sunday, and if you've like I know the Racing Post on a Sunday is always a brilliant. I know it's always great every day of the week, but there's so much reading in it on a Sunday. You've got RP Sunday, but I have an interview with Brendan Duke that's going in on Sunday, and
of course let's just clear this up because it's Brendan Duke, who's the father of our very good friend on Postcasts, Brendan Duke, and they sound the same, they've got the same name, but whereas young Brendan backs winners and wins the hearts of fair maidens, Dad Brendan Senior is a racehorse trainer who's got this fantastic 2-year-old, doesn't he? Warm the voice.
Yeah, and like I went down to meet him, and it's just the most bizarre 2 hours I've ever had in my life. Like he is just a fascinating character that is just really, he has great wit, and he's just great company, and it's amazing to see passion with somebody when you're talking, because we're so used to talking, to Aidan O'Brien, Dermot Wells, Jim Bulger, all these people, and they're fantastic ambassadors for the sport, but when you meet somebody that has tears in their eyes talking about a horse, and literally is shaking in fear thinking about this horse running, it's just brilliant. And if Warm the Voice could win, it would just be remarkable. He won't win, unfortunately, because it looks like Aidan has got a few really good horses in here. Saxon Warrior being the main one, obviously, with Ryan Moore riding him. He was very impressive first time out at the Curragh. There was a bit of cut in the ground that day. Won its maiden by 3 1/4 lengths. Donica rode him that day, which was obviously interesting. He wasn't the O'Brien first string because Christopher Robin was, who finished 7th. But it was hard not to be impressed by Saxon Warrior.
That turn of foot was really good, wasn't it, David?
Oh, it was visually, it was so impressive. I'm not sure if there was much substance to the race. I haven't gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, but visually it was very impressive. If Ryan is riding it, he's obviously a good bit better, or certainly better than the other two. He's better than Rizian, and unfortunately Warm the Voice, for all that I'd love to see him winning. I think it's just going to be too much of a fairy tale for Warm the Voice to win. But do buy the paper on Sunday and read the Brendan Duke interview.
I look forward to seeing that, DJ. I'm sure that's an absolutely cracking read. Frank, so DJ saying Saxon Warrior will win. Do you agree? And what price will Saxon Warrior be, roughly?
Yeah, I think Ryan Moore is riding him. You couldn't but be impressed by him today in the car. He absolutely just put the race to bed so quickly. He was massively eye-catching. I think we quoted 20 or 25 for the Derby, and that wasn't ongoing. It's very difficult to see him being beat here. Now, the one thing I would say is, if you go back and watch the Leopardstown race, where Kew Gardens and Delano Roosevelt were second and third, they were never really put in the race properly. Let's just say that maybe Nelson got an easy time in front, and that was the race for him to win. That was his day. But the other two, particularly Kew Gardens, was massively eye-catching too. Now, the only worry would be the Curragh race that Saxon Warrior won. Well, not too many have run out of it since Mayor's Flag, who was second. He's been beaten twice since, so perhaps it wasn't the strongest race ever. But just for visual impression, Saxon Warrior was mighty that day. And the fact that Ryan Moore's chosen him over probably the 2 with the next best form.
Are we looking at 4 to 6 here, do you think?
I would think he could even possibly be shorter.
Okay, fair enough. Right then, chaps, Kills, do you want to get involved in the Irish Fair?
Well, I mean, if he's 4 to 6, I'll be laying him. Once raised maiden form and it's not working out that well, and he's got, he's probably got £10 to find on that. I mean, he might do. I thought both the top 2 are very interesting. Delano Roosevelt, neither of them got great rides last time. And, when you look at the history of this, not all of the O'Brien horses that he runs in this. I mean, this is, obviously Sea the Stars has won this race. Brilliant horse. But Capri is the only classic winner of Aidan O'Brien's 16 winners, other than Septimus. And I don't really count that because he won the Irish Ledger as a 5-year-old. So, is this the race he targets with his best horse? Everyone gets carried away with once race maiden winners. We, touched on that earlier in the podcast. I'll be a layer.
Okay, Kills, do you fancy anything else at Naas?
Yeah, I can talk about 1 or 2 of them.
Well, go on then, do that now.
Did St Nicholas Abbey not win the Guineas?
No.
DJ, I'm so glad you said that because I was so close to going, what about St Nicholas Abbey? And I thought, hang on a sec, I could be wrong
because
here.
Chin, didn't it?
By McPhee, yeah. He was even money 5.
Apologies. Sorry, Paul. I shouldn't have doubted you.
There you go. Mind you, he was a very, very good horse, wasn't he, St Nicholas Abbey? But anyway, yeah, just one I was interested in. The World Park Stakes 230. Althea absolutely bolted up at Doncaster last time, and afterwards Carl Burke said the problem with this filly is she's been in season virtually all season, and it's the first time since her debut since her second run that she hadn't been in season, and she absolutely hacked up. Now she's still got a fair bit to find with some of these, but he's sending them over there. He made the plan to send her over there. I think he was also toying with going to Ayr as well, but she really wants really soft ground as well, and it'll be the softest she's been on probably since she won a maiden, and I think she might go well at a price.
Okay, Frank, take us through your other Naas fancies, would you?
Yeah, in that Weld Park Stakes, there's a horse in here who ties in. Like Aidan O'Brien's got a couple of really good, or maybe 3 really good fillies in Magical, Happily and September, but there's one that kind of ties in with them who's not belonging to Aidan, and that's Mary Tudor of William McCreary. She was only just touched off by Magical on her debut in a maiden in Cork over a mile, and she ran in the Debutant Stakes in the Curragh, where she was third, 2.5 lengths behind Magical and Happily, and of course September was behind her. Now I think if Happily, or even if September was in this, she'd be a sharp price. Aidan sending Sizzling and Ballet Shoes, I don't think they're up to the level of the other 3 that he has. So this Mary Tudor might actually be a price that she shouldn't be.
I won't be Frank, I'll be favoured.
You'd be surprised, yeah. You'd be hoping it would be favoured. I would be priced of favourite, but I'm a pricey, but I think she'll win.
Okay, is that it for you for Naas?
What else do I have? This is again my heart. The Brogy Man goes in that auction race, and I'm definitely I think this might even be weaker than the Curragh race. He ran a really good race that day. He was 4th, just touched off for 3rd. The winner looked quite useful. The second as well was well backed, so I think he can go well. He might be 5 to 1 maybe. Okay. Back in each way possibly. I think your lines probably have the fav in that, but I'd be hoping with everything that'll win.
The Brogy Man in the 330. Over to you then, David Jennings.
Yeah, the Brogy Man's got a cracking chance. He thinks everything is better than it is, but he thinks the Brogy Man is certainly better than the 77 rated horse, and it ran really well at the Curragh. Things didn't go according to plan. The one I really like on the card, and it's probably the best race of the day, is the Renaissance Stakes Group 3, and the Group 1 winning Commonwealth Cup winner, Quiet Reflection, sneaks in there at the bottom for Carl Burke. But the one I like in the race is Downforce from Willie McCreary's stable. Had a winner during the week at Fairyhouse. Horses are running well. Returned to action after a 3-month break at York last time in a listed race and was so unlucky. Now, it is a bit of a hostage for fortune because it does tend to be held up. But the thing about Downforce is simply ground. It was good to soft that day at York. Its form on softer ground. Now, it's soft at Naas at the moment. Its form on soft ground is pretty phenomenal, really, to be honest. It won... I don't know if this has ever been done before, but it won a 6-furlong race at Cork on heavy ground, 6 furlongs by 12 lengths, and there was 11 runners in the race. So it wasn't a 2-horse race, 11 runners in the race, a listed race, won by 12 lengths. That's an unbelievable achievement, I think. I think Willie has campaigned Downforce really, really well because It kind of didn't run during the height of summer, and he's brought him back to run in the autumn on ground that's going to be ideal. He's a really, really top-class sprinter, verging on Group 1 status on that ground. And while the rating suggests he's got plenty to find with Quiet Reflection, I think he'll beat Quiet Reflection. So down force for me in the 4 o'clock.
Kills, have you had a look at Plumpton and Utoxeter?
Yeah, I have, but I just want to add to that because there's a grand servant running in the Renaissance Stakes in Gordon Lord Byron who just keeps running ridiculously well given his age, and he loves soft ground, and I think he's been running well enough. What Dave said about Quiet Reflection is right. I mean, she's the best horse in the race, but if she wasn't ready to defend her Sprint Cup crown last week, then she can't be that ready now, can she? Surely, just a week later. So, I'd say Gordon Lord Byron.
Okay, what have you got for us at Plumpton or Utoxeter?
Right, got to find the races now. Hang on, Utoxeter. There is a Class 3 handicap chase there, which is quite decent. It is the 340, and the one I like here is dropping in class. Midnight Shot. Hasn't really done much since winning those 3 novice chases in the spring, but they did run in a listed Class 1 race at Market Race and the Summer Plate, and then ran in a strong race at Southern last time where he lasted a bit longer, and he dropped to 134. He's got a best racing post rating to his name, or 2 of them, of 147. If he returns to that sort of form, he must go very, very close. Charlie Longson's horses routinely go well at this time of year as well, so that's the one for me there. And if we get Plumpton up, it's Flashman. I can't remember what time that is. Let's just get that up. Of Gary Moore's. It is running in the 420. Flashman, bit of a character, but he's got a £10 claimer on. He ran well last time at Fontwell last month. First run for 4 or 5 months. I think he'll go well. He won't be much of a price though.
Okay, you're going to go to Plumpton on Sunday, Kills?
No, Sean's going back to uni, so I've got to take him there.
All right, remind us which uni he goes to.
Oh, yeah, he's going to Oxford.
Oxford, what joint's that, lads? Isn't that amazing? Paul Keeley's son goes to Oxford University. Geneticists everywhere scratching their heads. So you're going to take him back to uni on Sunday. And what about Saturday, Kills?
Saturday, well, we're going out for a meal in the evening because it's Ollie's birthday on Sunday.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's Daisy's birthday today. My Daisy's birthday today.
Yeah, she's 16 Sunday, so we're going out in the evening then, and I'm doing the old live tipster again in the daytime, and hopefully I will do better than I did last week.
I'm sure you will. So, like I say, don't forget it's the new live tipster service that we have on Race Day Live on the mobile and on the website. Keels just sits there spewing out tips and wisdom. And there's also an email address where you can email him and ask him any questions. How many questions did you get last week? Plenty?
I got 5 or 6. I mean, some of them were...
Oh, there you go. You'll definitely get yours read out then if you email him.
Some of them you can't really answer.
What, because they're rude? Or
yeah, rude, and you know what it's like, don't you?
I do indeed, better than anyone.
I actually got some hate mail forwarded to me this week, funny enough.
For me?
No, for me.
Oh, right.
In the office, and it came through, and... some lunatic, he starts his letters off with, "Really, Keeley?"
That could be a new column, "Really, Keeley," where people question your tips. Okay. Well, good luck with that, Kills. DJ, what's your weekend plans?
I'm working in Navan tomorrow, and afterwards we have kind of a cup final. GAA. We're playing Walterstown in a final. Now it's not the championship, so it's only a kind of a secondary competition, but it'd still be nice to win. And that will be my Saturday and Sunday. I'm off, actually, so I might do something with Aoife.
Okay, is that a floodlit game, that?
Yeah.
Is it? So you're good enough that you play in a proper stadium and all that, do you?
Bruce, I'm better than you think I am.
No.
I'm better than I look.
No.
I'm better than I look.
I'm well aware you're good. Have you ever bet in a game that's so high profile that people bet on it? Sorry, played in a game that's so high profile that people bet on it?
Oh, absolutely. We were in the final last year of our grade, so we're beaten in a replay. And the funny thing is, we were complete underdogs, but the best footballer in Meath is a guy called Graham Riley, and he was playing on the opposition team, and he got sent off after 30 seconds. So the other team there's 15 players on the team, and the other team only had 14, and he got sent off, and we still only drew, so it was devastating. But we would have been a price going into the match.
But so bookmakers actually do price up events that you're participating in, yeah?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's great. Excellent. Frank, what's the weekend hold for you?
I'm out tonight. One of the lads in the office here, one of my own tennis colleagues, is turning 30, so we're going out for his birthday.
Where are you going to go?
somewhere in Stillorgan. I've never heard of it before, but probably hit town after. Then I will be in a heap tomorrow and back into work Sunday.
Lovely stuff. Excellent. OK, thank you very much, chaps. So don't forget, if you enjoy the podcast, do please rate and subscribe us on iTunes. Maddie and the gang are back on Monday, and we are back next Friday. What are we looking ahead to? What's on following week? What's on next weekend? What is it now? The Arc.
Cambridgeshire.
The small matter of the Arc and the Cambridge. So do join us for that.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.